Welcome. My name is Lisa Aiden, and I'm a co-curator here with Cynthia Lou, who's probably, well, there she is. She never really comes out to take a bath, but we do this together. And we're here with Russ Reich and Dave Yoas, and it's a pretty fun show. So we're going to hear a little bit from both artists, and then you can continue to enjoy it. Okay. You're going to do a little mic swap here and talk about your art.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. I don't know that I need it, but anyway. I just want to thank Cynthia, Nice, and Matt for having me here first.
You have to put it closer to you.
Okay. I'll just stand here. All I wanted to talk about was how I do my art. I thought that would be the most interesting, and I would pick this one just because it's probably the most work to do something like that. I don't know how many times we're going to actually have to do that part. The bunnies were interesting. Just how I do things is I play with the toys, you know, but I build a diorama to put them in, and then I print stuff to put around it, and furniture and all kinds of stuff, and then I photograph that, and then I actually suck that into the computer, and I start drawing in Inkscape and seeing how it's all going to work out, and then finally I'll start drawing it in Inkscape, and then I use a CNC machine to actually draw on other different substrates to get scale and how I actually want it to come out when it's done, or in this case on a panel. You know, I build the panel and start painting on it, and then it's always oil on a panel or a canvas. So yeah, I built the room, put the bunnies in there, and started photographing it. I'll do hundreds of photographs of it and start checking them out. And then I may play with those photographs differently as different lighting and different things that I've gotten on there. And then I start painting. It's really how it is. The same with the other one. I set it up. A lot of times I'll photograph out in the sun just because I like to see the shadows and see how things are reflecting against it. I'll have other toys around it and great candy. I like shiny stuff, so lots of shiny stuff, and just kind of keep photographing it and seeing how it actually turns out, and then manipulating that somehow in Photoshop and Inkscape and getting the drawing to draw it out, and then painting it. That's it. That's about it for me. There's nothing other than that. I just play with the toys and shiny things and see what I come up with.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. If there's any questions, I can answer questions for you. Dave has a question.
Yeah. So those are oil, but you also do watercolor.
Oh, yes. So watercolors are very much the same way, other than they are watercolors, which watercolors are what I know the best. I actually started in 5th grade, and I've been watercoloring literally my whole life. So I'm really confident in watercolors. And I did do a detail of Dave's, and really he asked me last November if I would do one of his, and I really wanted the challenge of, sometimes you can get kind of cocky, like I can do anything in a medium, and I really wanted to challenge myself, like, can I really look at something that's not my work and do something? And that's what that challenge was about for me, and that's why I took it on. So it's not mine, but it was wonderful in a way, and the scale is because I really like the small. If you look at his piece, there's lots of little things going on, and I couldn't do a painting that size without it. I had to enlarge it to get what needed to be in there to really make it look like what he had. So that's an interesting piece, just because that's what it was all about. And that was the only watercolor I've done this year, because I started doing oils this year. So I worked all year on his painting. It's not for sale, but yes, I do have other watercolors that were done last year. And I'm going to get back to doing more now this next year. So, but yeah, that was a fun piece, and it did challenge me, and it was really good to do. And it was good for him to ask me to do it, because I just wanted to see, could it be done? I need water. Any other questions?
I need some water or something. My mouth's going dry. Because believe it or not, I can be
Yeah.
nervous.
The chrome is just you can't do it as if it's a reflective surface. It has to be what you actually see on the surface. So like if I try to do these, it can't be reflective because now you would actually be part of the painting, right? So you do have to make it look like it's what it would look like if it were reflective and you took a picture of it. But some artists would actually like you to be part of the artwork and then they would want it to have a mirror finish. I'm not so much that because then it would come really abstract. So that's why I don't paint the environment on these because I want your brain's going to fill it in. It knows that's more than the whole environment that's attributing to this, especially because of the abstract nature, what happens on chrome surfaces. And that's really what I loved about, and that's why I like photographing it, is the chrome surfaces. So I just put anything in there. And then when I see that surface, that's what, and I'm really exploding it really large. So I really could take any little part of this and make it a big painting. But I just like that you get to see kind of like, okay, this is somewhere, and if the bunnies were in a room that size, they would be like 8-foot bunnies. So they're in a small room, but it's really fun just to manipulate that and let people think about because you almost think you could see yourself in some of it, and that would be interesting to kind of do. And I might do it more with this kind of thing because I'm just starting to do more of this. So. Any other questions?
So you talked about creating the diorama. How did you decide what you wanted the room to be? And obviously, that influences the tone of the entire painting, right?
Yeah.
How did you decide that, and then what's the background of creating something like that?
The room is, and I can't remember his name, is a famous abstract artist. It was actually his living room where he would do his painting. And so I liked the way it looked. So I actually built that room out of that. And you just build it out of foam core. But it's not like dollhouse scale. So it's more like Barbie doll scale. So all the furniture has to kind of be handmade or whatever you're going to put in there and whatever prints. And I just kind of like the pop idea of it. And so that's how it turned out with the posters of pop. But I've photographed chrome things with robot ideas and put more toys in. I mean, there's a whole series of that crazy stuff. My youngest daughter just asked me the other day, "Are you going to do more of the bunnies?" Because she actually wants that. And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do more bunny stuff." But I have monkeys and Tony Natsolis, whoever, all of you probably know him. Him and Donna keep getting me chrome things, and it's going to get crazier is what's actually going to happen. So that's what I do, is I like crazy. So it's fascinating to me just to see it. I'm always fascinated with the work when I see it, even that I'm doing it. I'm like kind of amazed that it came out the way I see it. So, any other questions?
I have a question. I see a lot of really cool old toys. Do you
Yes.
actually own these toys?
Go ahead.
The one over there with all the little ray guns and stuff like that.
That one we have. So two of my boys and a daughter-in-law are here, but they played with some of the toys that we have. That one, we have some of the toys and some we don't. So I had to research the toys and try and get as many pictures of them that I could so I could put them how I wanted to do them. But a lot of the toys they have, as we had an art gallery shop when they were kids in Woodland, and we actually sold 10 toys there. So they actually do, like I did one that's I called it Red Number 2, but it was all red toys that my oldest stepson had. And he now has that painting, and it's a whole painting of red toys. So it's really about that kind of thing. So a lot of them I do have, but I have no problem with going out and finding, the image because I can make it work. I've had people send me photographs, like I did a painting of Pull Toys that Don and Solis had sent me, and then I just have to research the toys to really understand how they all look and how they went together, and then I can do a whole painting of all that. So that's where you start drawing yourself. You take the images, you pull it in an Inkscape, and then your creativeness has to come to make it really look like something. So that's kind of how I do it, is I just get a number of things together and I go, oh, that's a cool idea, and then I work on it in a computer, and then that's where it finishes for me. Same with the tops. We have most of the tops, but then to put it all together, I had to bring it into a computer and go, okay, how do I actually make this work? Because it's kind of abstract. Like, they look like they all go together, but they kind of don't go. For me to photograph that in that shape doesn't really happen. So then you create how do I want the story to go? How do I want it to flow? That's where the drawing, and I end up having to have it. I have to have it drawn in pencil. I can't just take the color image and go, this is what it's going to be. I need it in pencil. That helps me scale it, and then I paint it what it needs to be for me. So the colors, if you've seen the tops, may not look exactly like that, but you would kind of go, that's where they came from. Hopefully that answers it.
Yes.
Any other questions? We could do this all night.
Thank you.
Hey, darling.
See, once I get going,
I'm not telling you. Disciplined already. Hello, everybody. Ooh, hello. Hello, everybody. My name's Dave Yoas. Can you hear me now? Because it's echoing in my head. A moment, please. Okay. Well, our processes are very different. Mine is, first of all, let me just give you a little bit of background. I did not grow up. The most art that I saw when I was a young kid was on chalk smeared sidewalks. I was partial to, as I became a teenager, I was partial to Mad Magazine.
Straw.
Hello.
Thank you. The echo
Hello.
helps.
Is it? Does it really help? Yeah. Okay. I was partial to Mad Magazine, Rat Fink, all the standard stuff. And it started to sort of permeate my brain, especially Mad Magazine, I might add. Helped with my anti-authoritarian streak. I will also, and as I grew up, I became a park ranger. I was a ranger for close to 30 years with East Bay Regional Parks. And as I worked in that organization, I became a park supervisor. And as I became a park supervisor, I was always getting work done through others. I found that not to be satisfying. It didn't feed my soul. I mean, as much as I like making nice places for people to come and recreate, I really, at the end of the day, there was still something that was empty. And I started to do art. I started with ceramics, and then slowly but surely the park district sent my wife, Rachel, to Santa Fe. And I went into Santa Fe and I started walking around because she was in class. I was the spouse. It was perfect. And I started seeing all this tin work. I'd worked with ceramics, but sorry, Tony. I worked with ceramics, but I really wasn't happy about a lot of the adhesives and things that I had to use when they were broken. I wanted more control, and I think there's a reason they call kilns, because it can definitely happen. And so I wanted something that I had a little more control over, and so slowly but surely I once I saw tin, that I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I started with tin, and I started with punch tin. This is a piece that took me, oh, I don't know, it was years. I wasn't showing. I didn't even know how to show. I was doing work for myself and for the front room of my house, and so this was that piece. If you look at it closely, it's not hard to figure out what year it came from, because it has, it has Charlie Manson, Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, and me between Elvis and a horse's ass. I mean, at least I knew what I was dealing with. And I used a punch tin, which I really like the whole thing about the sacredness of the punch tin, especially the nichos and things that I was seeing in the Southwest. And then, of course, I like the profane element, the sacred and the profane. And so, needless to say, I indulged myself. I also, as I started to develop and do more work, I started making things more complicated. I had to collect the tin. Now, if you have any time, you can get one of my cards and look at my website. I have a book over there of my work. And the fact of the matter is that you have to collect a lot of tin to create. And that is one of the things that over the last 30 years, I've gotten pretty good at. I know how to source things. I also know how to cut things. Obviously, each one of my works can be authenticated through DNA. All you have to do is put a black light on it, and then take a scraping, and you'll see, oh yeah, that's an authentic Yoas. It really is. And most of my pieces have themes. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is I'm going to walk around and have you guys chase me, because I want to talk a little bit about the different pieces. Okay. So this one is a cowgirl shooting gallery. Now, it's the Wild Mare Ranch. And what it has in it is all the targets are cowboys. Because I thought to myself, if I was a woman in the Old West, how would I feel, considering what choices were left for many of them? So I decided I would create a cowgirl shooting gallery. And I like there's some little surprises in there, things that actually do spin. And by the way, how am I doing with the mic? Am I okay? Am I doing all right? Okay, good. I'm going to go to this one next. Each one has a little slightly different story. This one was during COVID. It was, you all know what it was like. It was pretty damn depressing. And so I decided that I would do a piece that was just sort of upbeat. It didn't have no subtext other than just what it was. So I created this one. It's called Because I Can. And these are actually clown pieces that I repainted. And I don't know, there's a big theme on this one. There are some surprises. If the lights went out and you shined a light on it, these little dots would fluoresce, because they are in fact reflectors. But I really enjoyed doing this piece. For some of the older people in the audience, you can see Charlie McCarthy in here. I don't know what he's doing with that young lady. I have no idea, but I would leave it to your imagination. This piece was very, very fun to do. Coming over here to this next piece, this one has a few more surprises in it. I decided that I would do the log cabin quilt pattern for all the ladies. These are and men too, because there are a lot of male quilters out there. But this is all what they call automatia, which always blows me away. It's for stuff like, all the gas station toys you had and the little cars you had and all that stuff. So I collected all that. It's called Traffic Jam, because for all you who live here and have to go down to the Bay Area, what does it feel like when you're driving down there just about, when they're in construction and you just before Dave, slow. And on hot days, it feels like you're just melting into the pavement. Well, that's what's happening here. The cars are melting into the pavement. I wanted to do that. Everybody wants to do that. It also has another little item up here. So anyway, this one has a learn to drive element. It has this poor kid just ran over a policeman. That's not a good thing to do today. I mean, it never was, but I'm sure there are some people who felt like they'd rather. So this has just a lot of automatia in it, and it has here the attack of the 50-foot woman. This one down here says, commuter narrowly escapes death. How many times have you felt that one in your lifetime? So anyway, this one was very fun to do. This is throttled down, but I can make it so that this will turn. I try to have little things in all my pieces that are interactive, some more so than others. I'm going to talk about this one from here. That one pretty much explains itself. That's clown on clown violence. And especially if you look at what's happening in the Middle East now and what's been happening in America ever since I was born, we've been at war. I'm sure. So clown on clown violence was there's a couple things you find out when you're collecting. There are certain themes: cowboys, clowns, cars. I mean, if you look at what Russ did, you'll see that there are themes: guns, war toys. These are all the things that I grew up with, and so I would collect them, and then I would try to figure out what I could make. One of my shows was called Individually Twisted, because I try to get something that's fairly straightforward and then give it a little, so that it will attract you, it'll bring you in, and then what are you going to do? Hopefully you're going to find something that actually will engage you. And so that's clown on clown violence. This little one right here is, I don't know if you have ever been on, in the old days and you're traveling in the foothills or some of the back roads of America, you would stop at a gas station that was in the middle of nowhere that only had 2 pumps. And if you had to go to the bathroom, you wish you didn't. Well, this one tells that story. It says truck stop on the top, but in fact, it has become an uck stop. And it's actually is a bank. You can put nickels in it, and there is a way, believe it or not, to get them out. And that's what this piece is. It is definitely the uck stop. And since I've been traveling as I got older, there are a lot fewer of these ucks out there. But boy, every once in a while you can still hit one, and you'll never forget it. That's one thing about being a park ranger. It was very funny. We knew that the one thing that you would remember in a park was if you had a bad experience in the restroom. And we really worked hard to make those restrooms nice so that you could enjoy your picnic and go back out and enjoy the day. So there's a little something more to the uck stop. That one back there is just a comment on, I was a duck and cover kid, and that's just a comment on that. It's called Oops, because especially now that our president has said he wants to start some more nuclear testing, he says it's not going to be with explosions, but it only takes one oops to spoil a lot of people's whole life. So that's what that's about. Where did the devil come from? The devil, that's a Krampus devil from, in Europe they had Krampus. Krampus is if you were a bad kid, Krampus would take you. Krampus wasn't like Santa going to reward you. Krampus would take you and put you in his basket, and you were gone. So that's actually a Krampus. This one is just what it looks like. It's called Mummy Dearest. It's just from the Mummy. I just thought that, I was a TV baby, and I always loved the Mummy. Just was on TV. This one is called Safety Chic. Why Safety Chic? Well, if you're a male of a certain age, prophylactives were made by the sheet company. And this one has the package still in it. So this is, initially, you get to see in the 20s, every woman's dream boat. And let's hope that there were some safety sheets happening, because in those days they didn't have penicillin. Over here, this is called Boy Fight. There was a third piece that was a female figure, but she unfortunately went on to her forever home. She sold pretty fast. This is all ahead full, and this is fall back. This is all made, if you look closely, these are all war toys. Everything. The swords, the shields, the camo, it's all made with war toys. And he's pretty intense. I did him there. I wanted to sort of have a little bit of an anime feel to these. And this poor guy's on his back. This is the garbage can lid that every kid used, whoever was trying to protect himself. I still think that the bigger ones would still work. And he's the Navy. It actually has buttons for my father's uniform from his days in the Navy. So I enjoyed doing this. This was called Blind Beauty Contest. Why Blind Beauty Contest? Because beauty is blind. Let's face it. Come on. It's a relative thing. You can say, yes, okay, beauty is, it's, you go throughout the world and there's a certain formula to beauty. I don't buy it. So what I did was I tried to get as many different races developed in here, and I gave them all masks so they can't see. And the judges are also masked. And what's going on in that room, I don't even want to talk about, because I think that's what happens in a lot of beauty contests. It's all, are they rigged? I think sometimes they are. You could ask Bess Meyerson, but I don't know. I'm just about going to wrap it up right here. Here's the last piece. And once again, these guns, there is a little trick to this one. On all the triggers, the kids are riding on the not on the triggers, on the hammers. And if you look closely, there's something missing in this. There are no triggers. None of the guns could ever be fired. But I thought, when I grew up, man, we all, even if your mother said you can't have a gun, we'd pick up a stick and then turn it into a gun. And so this was called We Start 'Em Young, because we were all started young when it came to gun culture, and we're still with it today. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Bullet holes in there?
Those were actually arrow holes, and then I added some more. And then I just punched them through, and then I painted them black so they, would disappear. But the tins are from all over the place. This is a Japanese tin. That's a Daisy BB gun tin. This little girl is actually a little boy. I added a braid to her because on my street, everybody, even the boys and girls, it didn't matter. We would all run together and have a great time. These are not actually bullets. They're all plastic and hollow. So this really is all made out of toys. And I have to admit, I was really partial to these. I thought they were beautiful. That's all I got. Oh, the atomic bomb piece. Okay, my wife wants me to show you the atomic bomb piece. I do love the atomic bomb piece, but I have to ask you to be quiet. You got to be quiet, because there's a secret in this that if you're not quiet, you're not going to hear it. Now, there was a whole generation knows what duck and cover is. So this header right here is actually from a very real game that was done in 1946. It's called the Atomic Bomber. And when I found that out, I first found that on eBay and I bought it because I thought, well, I got to have that. I don't know what it's for. And then I researched it. Atomic Bomber was made by the Mutoscope company. And what you would do is you put your nickel in the machine. It was a stand-up machine. And you'd look through a viewer. And there was a drum underneath the viewer that was spinning. And you would have, in one hand, you would have a joystick to move the crosshairs. In the other hand, you'd have, what's that? Drop the bomb. And your job was to move the crosshairs around and drop the bomb. Now, 1946, we were pretty pissed off. That was, I mean, you know, it's kind of understandable in a way, but nobody questioned it. We didn't really even know what radiation was all about at that point. We didn't really appreciate what the atomic bomb could do. We just knew it was going to end the war. Well, when you look at the drum, the things you're bombing are not military sites. I mean, they did this with civilian sites and nobody questioned it. So, you know, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, yeah, okay, for a nickel, you can go bomb some more. So, you know, that's why I added this is the viewfinder, and this game in the middle is kind of a fun one in that it says SOS. Huh? What? That's supposed to actually for stay off streets. This was a game to teach the kids to not play in the street. And it was a bagatelle game where the ball would just go down and bang its way through there. But I thought, no, it's more than that. SOS. The bombs are salt and pepper shakers from the 50s. I sealed the holes, but we were having atomic bombs on our, for our salt and pepper on our tables. But, we just, I mean, come on. It was right after the war. These were actually from the early 50s, and people did not know what destruction and what could happen with an atom bomb. So this, I do love this piece. These are welding glasses. This is from The Invisible Man, a poster. This is also from The Invisible Man. This is from a liquor container. It has the Irish liquor. So, I will use whatever I need to make my point. So thank you so much. I've